Welcome everyone to our most special panel today. I was told this is the only hybrid panel for today. So we are having speakers both in Hong Kong here and on site, as well as our remote special guests. But before I introduce our panelists on stage, I just want to do a quick introduction about our topic. Today is our topic is about the long and winding road to a smarter business with data analytics. So this is really a sticky subject. We're not only talking about data, but also the analytic models and how analytic models becoming very important to be connected, contextual, and continuous in order to bring effective decision making. And our panelists today came from both Hong Kong, representing Hong Kong industries, and also global industries. And without further ado, I'd like to first introduce our special remote panelists on stage. We can all see him on the screen, Mr. Jeff Soon. He is the Managing Director, South Asia of Snowflake. Let's give a big hand for Jeff joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jeff. And now I start introducing our on-site speakers. First, I'd like to introduce Queenie Chan. Queenie Chan is the General Manager of Business Analytics and E-Development of the Hong Kong and China Gas Company. Queenie, please. Let's give a hand for Queenie. And secondly, we have Adam Wielowieyski. He is the Managing Director and Head of Data and Analytics of HKEX. Let's welcome Adam on stage. And then last but not least, we have a bit of a global perspective. Let's welcome Yannick. Yannick Evans, he's the Global Analytics Business Partner of Swiss Re. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you there, Jeff. Hope you can see us quite well on stage here.
No problem.
Great. I think we have a really great panel, not only representing, industries in Hong Kong. We have organizations that's really born and raised in Hong Kong. We have also global industries that has a great presence in Hong Kong, but also we have a regional perspective from Jeff. So we've got a really great panel to cover all grounds, different type of industries, different type of organizations. But I think one common thing we've seen among, our probably practitioners, if I would say, on stage here is they're all quite highly regulated industry in a sense. We have, town gas, which is sort of a utility, and obviously, we have FSI and insurance. So to kick off my first question, maybe for our practitioner on site here, is can you share with us, your organization, how data, what's the role of data, and how analytics help in making decisions in your business? Maybe I'll start with ladies first from my far right. Queenie, would you like to start?
Let me go first. Time guess, I think many of you are our customers, right? And enjoying our good customer service, I hope. And actually, Time guess emphasize the importance of a innovative culture, and we promote continuous transformation through the innovative mindset and implementation to ensure we have a very good quality service and sustained business growth for our company. And so every year, there are a lot of improvement projects in our company, like the development of the chatbot, the AI chatbot, and also some technical projects, for example, the use of Propter for the inspection of gas pipe. All these kind of projects need the data to support your decision and to let you know where you should go further, right? And before in time gas, due to the legacy system, we need a long time to get the relevant data from those systems before you can go further into the analytics or the implementation work, the improvement work. But with the data lake and the visualization tools, now we can get the data very quickly and instantly. And I would like to share with you a recent example on customer service enhancement. we start sending SMS to our customers upon a maintenance appointment. And the calls to our customer service hotline drop immediately. And actually, we spot this issue from a speech analytic, stating that many customers call us to inquire about what time I made the appointment, or what day is the appointment. And so we think of some digital transformation and we send SMS to our customer immediately, and the problem is solved and the calls reduced. And so data is very important for any improvement project in Tangas.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's very much helping for customer experience, but also for the operations within Town Gas. I think also, maybe a different industry in the sense, like for Adam, you guys probably not only in a highly regulated financial sector, but also you guys set the rules of the game in a way, right? So in terms of the use of data, like, can you share with us how's the role of data and analytics within HKEX?
Pleasure. I think turn that on. No worries. I think we're in an interesting position where actually the clients of the exchange are probably a lot more sophisticated in their use of data and analytics than we sometimes are. Everyone here, I'm sure, is touched by the capital markets in some way or another, and the level of sophistication and the level of sort of experience that people bring to the markets every day surprises me. I learn something new from our clients, and I find that fascinating. But that also means that our job as a kind of as the market operator, and to some degree also the market regulator, means we have a primary objective to ensure a fair and orderly market. And to do that, we have to understand what our clients are doing and how they're operating. So one direct use of our data is to understand deeply how market liquidity is formed, what's happening, how orders are coming, and make sure that there's nothing unfair going on. And that changes every day. So that's fun. Otherwise, it is really a question of understanding our changing client needs, where we can provide new product, where we could provide new service, where we can reach out and offer opportunity to people who don't necessarily trade Hong Kong. And that, again, is something that colors all the decisions that we make almost every day from a revenue perspective.
So it helps set the rules of the game, at the same time probably give you a market trends view, right, as well, with all that.
Absolutely.
And apart from, FSI, I think another important sector that use data is insurance. But I think Swiss Re is a little bit different. It's more B2B role. Yannick, would you like to share with us about how Swiss Re use
Yeah,
data?
that's right. For those who don't know Swiss Re, we are the global leader in reinsurance. So reinsurance, it's a B2B kind of business model. We are at the back of all the insurer managing risk. So the core of the IP that we create with data is around risk model across all line of business. So understanding how good and long you will live as an individual, understanding to come back to the cars, how good you drive, but how good is the security in your car is, so that it can limit the accuracy or limit the eventuality for you to have an accident. Looking at the impact of climate change on our natural catastrophe models, looking basically at all the data that we collect through the smart cities. We just spoke on the panel before, financial data, utility data. All this data is actually valuable for us to understand the risk that individuals are exposed to, or corporate, as we also insured SMEs and big corporate. So that's basically the business that we do as global reinsurer, transforming data into risk insight. And similar two aspects to it. One is to identify the trends. So what are the new customer expectation to interact digitally with insurer? How keen are they to share more data, to prevent the risk, to personalize the experience? And for us on the other side to transform this data that customers are willing to share into tangible risk model that could impact the way we price the risk, the way we manage the risk, the way we help insurer to prevent risk to happen and to act quicker. So that's a bit in a nutshell. So for us, managing data is the core of our business model. And therefore, my team, as part of the group data strategy, looking to support all our business units to harvest the full power of the data that we have access to.
Yeah, that sounds like it's really quite a data-oriented industry when it comes to calculating risk in every single aspect, from driving to
it takes
climate
time.
change.
It takes time because data is still very siloed into legacy system, and it takes time to also bring data literacy to all the talent to really understand what data-driven process really mean. Yeah? But
I'm
getting
sure.
there.
Yeah, and then we'll definitely deep dive into that about the long and winding road and all the sticky subjects everyone's dealing with in data. But before that, like maybe I'll also like to turn the next question to our special guest in Singapore, Jeff, because you have a more regional view, plus also I'm sure Snowflake has worked with different industries as well. Would you like to share a little bit with us, how maybe the region and Asian enterprises has changed in terms of the use of data and analytics here?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things that we see across the Asian region is a disparity in the technology levels across various countries. And one of the things that we were really proud to be involved in was working with the Philippines government, so specifically the Department of Information and Communication Technology, to help them with the rollout of COVID vaccines across, I think they've got a population of about 110 million people. And the complexity with COVID vaccines is at the very start, there's always a lot more demand than there is of supply. But as you start to vaccinate your population, the supply catches up. And in fact, it's trying to do analytics to work out how you can get that final 10, 20, 30% of the population vaccinated, so that you can, at least from a Singapore perspective, and a few other countries, is opening up and living with COVID. So the use of Snowflake, because it's a cloud technology, meant that we could really quite rapidly deploy this capability to partner with the Philippine government and to also scale it across quite a complex government system, because you've got your federal, you've got your kind of like a regional level, then you've got your municipal governments. So that's just one good example where data could actually be used for good to drive, COVID vaccinations in a country such as Philippines.
Great. Yeah, I think that is a really interesting use of data and using analytics to make decisions. It is really, I think it must make a big difference for the Philippines, and also was quite a timely use of analytics to keep everyone safe as well. I think we have covered quite a lot of different beauty about analytics and data. Let's get into the dirty part of it. What is the challenge? This is the topic of a panel discussion, right? The long and winding road. Maybe I'll just throw this question to our practitioner here. Just about, would you like to share a little bit with us, the role to use data in making decisions, particularly when we are seeing the variety of data and the source of data becomes so much more diverse. How do you connect them? How do you create maybe Queenie mentioned a little bit about data lake earlier, but how you consolidate them sort of in a repository, or making it easier to analyze them. Maybe I'll start with this side. You would like to try?
Sure, Yannick? Yeah. Let's go on the other side then.
Yeah.
So at Swiss Re, we look at data as a key asset that we have again to build insight for our risk model. So we have actually structured ourselves globally into 6 pillars. and not 5. I know that Anson is really hunting by the 5 number, but we have actually one pillar looking at adapting the data analytics strategy to each of our business units. And the 5 other pillar are basically the enablement to harvest the full power of data to all our business units. One pillar is about data foundation. So catalog all the data that we have access to, identify the gaps, build a framework to bring third-party data in to fill those gaps, build ontology that define and bring more intelligence to the data that we have and put it into context. Master data management, this is what this team does at a global level. The second enablement pillar is about now I forget, governance, data governance. So basically making sure that we know who own the data, for which purpose this data can be used, are we complying to all the regulation. We're looking also at digital responsibility to create this responsible data-driven and AI environment. The third pillar is about people and culture. So what do we need to encourage in our people, in our talent, to really become a data-driven organization, all this data literacy program, and give all the tools and the basics to our talent to develop. The fourth enablement pillar is actually my team, so data analytics. So providing the latest techniques and technologies and analytics platform to transform unstructured data in particular, that is still 80% of the data a corporate will have access to, into meaningful input. And then when you have this input, then transform this with machine learning, NLPs into a meaningful output that can be used to automate further your decision process. And then the last enablement pillar is about the platform and the partnership, tech partnership. I see that HKEX is there, but some other Snowflake, some other partners. So how do you work with them? We work with most of the cloud provider as well to basically leverage the feature that they provide and train our people for them to understand which platform, which tool to use to resolve which business issue. And all this is really at the service of solving data challenge for the business, and not just pure technically and data oriented.
Yeah, I guess with that global scale of data and wide range, you really need a clear definition or a clear governance structure to go from the governance to the implementation.
Yeah, this helps. However, the difficulty come when you need to localize all that. Yeah. So we have our own data analytics strategy for China because it's quite different, the regulation and the tech and data environment. But for the rest of the world, we basically apply locally the global practice and best practice. This is where is the difficulty to adapt it to local regulation, local data privacy. Everything that you build globally needs to be then fit locally into the reality on the ground, and this is one of the main challenges that we have.
Talking about local regulations, Adam, would you like to share a bit the challenges at Hong Kong EX in terms of HKEX in terms of the use of data and the data structure and governance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love your pillars, by the way. I'd like to say that. One thing that I have heard before, and I really like this, is, someone told me, listen, data's like oil. It's smelly, it's dirty, it oozes, and it's a real pain unless you spend millions refining it. And, actually, it's completely right. Using it is really, really hard, and getting value out of it is very difficult. I think you've got the word enablement. I think that's a key word. Now, the funny thing is, when it comes to enablement, you have to think about yourself, what is your position in your organization? Are you looking at it from a defensive point of view? Are you looking at it from a need to know structure? Or are you looking at it from a sort of, open perspective where you want people to discover and use the data that's available to find new insight? And both of them are very different challenges. I think that we've always historically been a very closed organization. We have a view into the market that obviously is extremely sensitive, market moving information. We don't necessarily deal so much with personally identifiable information, which is where most data regulators and data privacy concerns are today, but more from a reputational privacy standpoint, which is that, we can't let people's trading activity, operation patterns, algorithms slip. So we've been very defensive in the past. But that can restrict very much our ability to offer services to our clients in ways that they expect to see today. Now, people, clients particularly want to have a full front to back view of their operation and their relationship with central infrastructure like ourselves. And so that siloed divisional structure just doesn't work. And it has a set of challenges. Our regulator, the SFC, doesn't particularly make any mandates specifically about what we can or can't do with our data. They trust us to make the right decisions, but we have to put in place a governance structure in order to be able to make sure that we make those right ones. And obviously there's a lot of discussions about that sometimes. And sometimes it's a painful progress to move that through.
Yeah. And maybe, Queenie, would you like to share from your side? Because you mentioned a little bit about the data lake. Would you like to share a little bit the journey or the long and winding road or challenges?
Yes, I think
Townguest?
the challenges is similar. We built the data lake and we need to find something from the data, find some improvement from the data, right? And so in our company, instead of training everybody to be data scientists or analysts, actually our department was formed to take care of the data governance, and we will develop dashboards for the users to use, and we are responsible to clean the data also, such that all the insights or the analytics are correct, right? And then, but we still face another challenge is if you build a higher level dashboard, actually the users will think, oh, this thing not relevant to them. And so we need to walk into the operations with the users to understand their operations, and then we build dashboards to a lower level of details such that they can use daily to monitor their daily operations, or even replace some old reports that they used to be using. And going in that way, I'm sure that everybody can be trained to be more data sensitive and can drive up the data-driven culture in Townguest.
So make it easier, the ease of use, and make it more accessible for everyone. It helps to bring that data more proliferate for everyone. Jeff, I think there's a question for you about, maybe having being a technology expert. Would you like to share with us some advice, and maybe, from all the war stories you've seen, in the region about the challenges when it comes to, managing the data, and we touch on a little bit about integrating them and connecting them. What's your war stories and some of the advice you've given them?
So look, I think, to be honest, companies like Snowflake, and there's a lot of companies similar, are trying really hard from a technology perspective to make things a lot more easier and a lot more simplified. Like, our company is 9 years old, and if I go back 9 years, the whole concept of doing video conferencing, the ability to have a hybrid panel, was extremely expensive and extremely difficult. You had to go into an old Cisco telepresence room, and literally only 1% of organizations had access to this technology. When you look at data and analytics, it's not a dissimilar story. If you go back a decade, traditional data platforms were extremely expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. The skill set required was also really difficult. You had to have a fleet of data engineers to be able to, deploy and maintain these complex systems. So just like Zoom has completely simplified video conferencing to the extent that my mother can play bridge with her friends on Zoom during lockdown, I think, companies like Snowflake and our hyperscaler partners and other companies are making it a little bit more easier. So I guess my advice, and especially what I've seen in terms of the digital natives and the startups, have a look at what SaaS offerings exist, because SaaS has transformed video conferencing, it's transformed office productivity suites, it's transformed so many different aspects that were traditionally hard. I think we've reached that point when it comes to analytics.
Yeah, I guess the development in technology definitely helps bring the ease of use and bring the connection of data, make it much easier. Before I move on to my next question, I just like to remind everybody we have the Slido that could invite everyone to participate. We have started to see questions coming in, so if you have any questions for our panelists here, please feel free to log in Slido and type our question. We'll address them after my next question. I think because when it comes to data analytics and modeling, one thing we really cannot escape is to talk about the use of it in AI or machine learning. I think it really is a tipping point of how data is used, right? It used to be provide insights, give you historical background, plotting trends, but the AI and machine learning really change it into more proactively giving you suggestion for actions. What do you do next? So it's not just about historical insights anymore, but really interaction or actions moving forward. And then the manage of the data and to detect contextual change, I think that becomes quite the challenge, or a really new way to use the data. I think I'm going to throw this question to the panel, and whoever like to raise their hand and start with. So I think my question would be, how do you guys, as a practitioner, how do you see using this AI model within your organization? And what are challenges?
Yannick is by far and away ahead of us, and I think on the rest of our panel. But yeah, all right.
It's good to see some local, usage and applications. So
I think, look, it's actually funny because it follows on to what Jeff said. The use of data or information in an organization is a journey, and I think every organization moves at a slightly different pace. You start off with just managing to get some data together and sort of, generally looking at what happened, understanding what's been going on. Then you start to use that to color the decisions that you make because you trust the data that you're getting, you trust what it means. And over time, you start to then provide more and more confidence into that data, and you start to believe the answers that it gives you. And that's really where, I think organizations by and large have managed to get to is that stage of moving to a predictive state. But that comes with its own unique set of challenges. Number one is it really does put a massive amount of pressure on your understanding and management of your data. So our pillar for governance and management is we call understanding and management. And, it's a constant battle to ensure data quality, to ensure context, to ensure that we keep up with changes in the core systems and so on and so forth. Because as soon as one tiny thing goes wrong, you can move your direction of travel by a radian.
Like domino effect, just
exactly. The other part, and I think this is somewhere where I think Yannick might be able to share a lot more insight, is actually trusting the output of your black box. And ensuring that you don't have inherent bias or problem and everything else. And perhaps this is a good opportunity to hand over to you.
Thanks for helping me ask that question. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I fully agree with what you said. I think when looking at the value that AI bring, it's for us, it's always starting with what is the business challenge. We never really developed AI model just because it's AI. We actually start, what is your business problem? Can data solve it? And maybe you don't even need AI. Then which kind of AI do you need? And can we scale the value? So we have a process that basically help us prioritize where we allocate our data science expertise. Because yes, we have a big team globally, 70 in my team, but we are 200 data scientists within the organization. So it's really important to make sure that we work on the right problem that come from the business. So the business are the one helping us to prioritize where AI can strategically bring value for the organization. Then the second process that we have is and this to your question is our advanced analytics peer review framework. How it works is that for every model that we build, there are different stage: ideation, development, put in production, and then maintenance that needs to be properly managed. Because very quickly, as you pinpoint, if your data change in the input or if the model is doing something else that it was designed for, things can go really quickly out of control. So it's very important to basically understand how to manage all this live development cycle of an AI model to ensure that the trust that you're starting to build with your talent on using AI is not broken. And they fully understand what the AI model is doing in the overall decision process. And for that, you need, and this is based on one of the questions, to really bring this data literacy to your domain experts. For us, these are the actuaries, the underwriters who understand the business we worked in. They need to understand what machine learning is. They need to understand what NLP is. They need to understand data bias and data quality, because if they don't understand, then yes, it becomes a black box. And then this is where things get out of control. But if they understand, then they can work together with the data scientist to basically create what we call more white box, where basically we fully, or 99.999, this is what data scientists look for, understand what the model do, how does it work, what needs to be tracked. We also do fairness assessments before bringing in production our models, looking at integrating this more and more. Data and technology, as all the industries are getting through the transformation, also bring opportunity to think about ethics, to think about transparency. It brings a lot more transparency to you first, but also to all your partners and then to your customer. So comes then, how do you protect your IP? How do you get rid of old processes that were not very ethical or not very fair? Suddenly get revealed, yeah. So it's really then up to the executive level to basically look into this decision making about, well, yeah, we want to become data driven, but with it come a lot of fundamental question about our business model. Who do we want with partner? How do we treat customers that need business to reply? And I think when you arrive at this level, this is where the real value of AI start to happen. But that's a long journey. We're not done. Yeah, I think no organization is done in this journey, even the big tech. But it will dramatically transform a lot of industries, starting with insurance, of course.
Yeah, I guess, it's really interesting because when you have the data that is really giving you the visibility and really giving you that context, then you need executives to make more ethical decisions on how that data can be used. So it's not just on the data scientist level of connecting that data, but you need more business leaders' decision. And
it's never about the data scientists or the tech. It's always about the business.
Yes, that's true. But I think, from a global scale, let's come back down to a bit more like on a local scale. Not all organizations will have a global team with like 200 data scientists around the world.
Globally.
Yeah, exactly. So
only 6 in Hong Kong.
Not a lot of organizations has that luxury. So I just want to, point that question to next question, maybe to Queenie in that case, because with a smaller or more local organization in a sense, how does how does AI or the use of machine learning change, your organization when it comes to managing the data?
Okay, actually we have a few AI projects. We start with the AI chatbot. I think everybody using chatbot in a supervised learning mode. We don't trust the chatbot totally, right? And then, but I think if somebody have the experience on the Cantonese chatbot development, it is very much difficult than comparing with other languages due to the Cantonese, the sentence pattern, and also the phrases we use by different people is different, and making the development much more difficult. And apart from the AI chatbot, actually we have some knowledge on AI. We extend to some local applications like some engineering one. We use video analytics, AI video analytics to determine the pipe corrosion level. And also we develop a spare part prediction engine to enhance our customer service. What's the purpose of the engine is to predict what spare part our technicians need to bring to visit our customers for maintenance services, such that our technician can complete the order in one time and no need to revisit our customers. And all these contribute quite a lot in saving our manpower, giving us standardization and efficiency. And this is the case in our company.
So you need to really consolidate the consumer or the customer data and also your operation or the parts in order to bring that into reality. I think, before we move on to the questions from the audience, maybe a question from our technology expert here, Jeff. You heard of a lot of, the pain or the challenges our practitioner here shared a bit. Maybe from your perspective, what are some of the advice or best practices you could share to our audience about how the use of AI and machine learning has changed the way data should be managed and organized?
Look, I think Yannick absolutely nailed it when he spoke about the need to really have a firm point of view on the ethical use of data. And just like hundreds of organizations have your corporate standards, your corporate guidelines, I think the same needs to be developed with data, because given the accessibility of technology, even if you are a relatively small company, even if you've just created a brand new app like Will, you're going to have access to enough data to potentially ask questions you shouldn't. And the reality is that many organizations now have enough data, have enough tools and technologies for inappropriate questions to be asked around, does someone have a pre-existing health condition? Has someone, done X, Y, Z? So I think, Yannick has really nailed it. Start with the ethics, start with the guidelines, and then start to take advantage of the data that you have within your organization, rather than the other way around, because I think the other way around could potentially expose you to unnecessary risk.
Great, thank you for your advice. I think we've heard from our practitioner and technology expert. Now I'd like to hear from our audience here. I think this question is really exciting. I really like to address that because it's something that we sort of have prepared. Ken Yong, I think from our online attendee here, his question is for the panel as well, for everyone here, I think including you, Jeff. It's a question about to increase data literacy for the colleague. I think we touched on a little bit about citizen data scientists. Maybe I'll just throw this question to the panel, whoever like to start about raising data literacy. I guess Yannick likes to start, but yeah, with big organizations.
Sure, I can start. So a few things that we do here in Hong Kong, across the region. First, we have developed 2 days training on introducing AI key concept that is built mainly for the actuaries and quantitative people, but actually we have people from all the organization coming, doing it. We already trained 300 of our 1,000 colleagues in APAC. They now all know the basics, how to code in Python. and show how quickly we transform this into a digital training now, 9 sessions of 2 hours. That allow them to quickly grasp the concept, and we apply, of course, into various use cases across the insurance value chain that are relevant to their day-to-day, and they got also an environment in which they can play and they can continue to code. Another things that we do is also datathon. So for Alpha Day, we basically bring all the data that we have on a particular we select 2 or 3 business challenge. We collect data that we believe could help to solve this challenge. And we put all our cross-functional experts in a room for Alpha Day, and it's wild. And they code and they try to fix it, and they come up with ideas. We have also third-party partners that can come in the room and bring their own idea. And it's always amazing at the end of the datathon. Most of the time, we will have 1 or 2 projects, so prototype that will basically become project. I think it's really important to be hands-on, that people actually code, learn how to code, learn how to transform data, get out of Excel, and see what all these technologies, all this platform can do. Excel can solve a lot of problems, but this technology can actually accelerate a lot of other things. And when you start inspiring people and they start coding, then you're done, basically. It's much easier.
I guess training and that intensive brainstorming, lock them in the room and make sure they produce some ideas, I guess. But you guys are lucky, right? Archeries are mainly like data scientists themselves. They're all trained with data. So maybe like for other organizations, like Adam, would you like to add?
Sure. It's sometimes we don't get the luxury of dragging people kicking and screaming into a dark room and telling them to learn Python. I wish we did. No, you always need to start with a business problem. And the only way that we found that it works is essentially to get the drive from the business user directly. And that's harder than you think, because quite often people are just too busy to focus on, hey, this is the way that I do something. This is what I need. I've worked out my methods. I've got the network. I've built what I need to do what I do very effectively. And apart from the sort of lucky few who focus very much on, okay, my continuous improvement, the rest are just trying to get through and, just don't have the time to spend the 20%. So you need to find the business problem. You need to find the wedge. And then once you do that, surprisingly, everybody very quickly learns, again, going back to what Jeff said earlier, my mum uses Zoom too, I don't think she uses Tableau yet, but give it a couple of years, we'll get there, right? That is essentially, you do start to, you get to that point. And I think that's key.
Help solve their problem on a daily basis, then they will be interested in using data if they...
Exactly, the challenge is identifying the problem, so.
I think similar to what Adam just said, we develop many dashboards for the users to use, and because now we can get all the data on our hand, we spot many improvement opportunities and then work with them. Everybody feel interested and excited with the data, because when some people, I drive up my sales with this dashboard, and the other want to know actually what you are seeing from the dashboard, what's the value added that they can't think of before. And with these interactions, I think everybody go with the data and want to use data to solve their problems.
Great. I think we're running a little bit out of time, so I've been told we should wrap it up. But before I let our panelists go, just one last question. Please give us one last question. But then, I'm sure our panelists will have quick answer. Just to wrap it up, we have so much challenges. We've talked about the use of AI is quite forward-looking, but let's move it even further. If you have to vision, we talk about how to use data to build a smarter business. I think maybe the question for Jeff would be what do you vision the ultimate smarter business for Asia enterprises? And maybe for our practitioner here, how would you vision your organization? How do you like it to see, in terms of making it a smarter business? one sentence, maybe each one. 30 seconds for everyone to answer. Jeff, would you like to start?
Sure. Look, if you ask, if we had to forward project, I think certain industries have done a good job of monetizing data. I think moving forward, we're going to have individuals have a better understanding of the value of the data that they generate, and maybe some sort of broader data exchange, I think, will start to emerge as we move forward. And if it doesn't happen on a country basis, it'll at least happen across many different verticals.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Queenie, you like to start?
We are expecting more digital transformation with the use of data and in a much shorter time. That will be our coming vision.
So faster.
I think every company is going to become a database company of some form. And, again, data is just information. We're just going to get smarter and better and faster at using that.
Great. And
yeah, agree, very aligned. So our 6th pillar of the data analytics
How many
strategy.
are we on now?
6. 5 plus 1. Basically, the mission is that one day we can describe all our business as data, and that's basically what we're trying to do, and also have a much more, and I think we discussed about that, much more unable to open it to our third-party partners to basically much quicker enable transform their data and their customer into meaningful risk insight and make the world resilient. That's our mission.
great. Thank you so much. So it's about having data move faster, making decisions faster, and also bringing more partners together. I think that's sort of our ultimate conclusion from how do you go through that long and winding road at the end. Thank you very much for our panelists here. Let's give a big round of applause for our panelists. And thank you everyone for your question as well and participating in this panel discussion together. I know we're in between you and your coffee break, so thank you so much.